The rain was pouring heavily outside the window, and the sound of raindrops hitting the glass resembled a monotonous drumbeat that heightened the stillness of the night and the depth of my thoughts. I was sitting in my dark room, with only the faint glow of the screen reflecting on my face as I watched my bank account numbers slowly dwindle. For years, I had worked day and night, collecting my monthly salary and depositing the majority of it into a small savings account, repeating the traditional phrase we grew up with: "Save your white pennies for a rainy day." I thought I was securing my future, believing that the higher the number in my account, the safer I would be against the unpredictable turns of life. However, the real shock came when inflation struck the markets and the prices of everything around us skyrocketed crazily. Suddenly, I discovered that the money I had saved with hardship and deprivation over the past 5 years could no longer buy even half of what it used to. The true value of my savings had eroded while I slept in place, while the world around me moved at rocket speed. I felt a deep bitterness and fierce anger at myself. I had spent my life afraid of taking risks, only to become the true victim of my own hesitation. In that dark moment, my memory drifted back to a distant day years ago, when I was a young man standing beside my late grandfather in his old workshop. My grandfather was a wise man, his face weathered by time, and his eyes radiating the dignity of years. At that time, I was bragging to him that I had opened a new savings account and deposited my very first bonus in it, expecting him to pat my back and praise my prudence and intelligence. Instead, what happened was completely contrary to my expectations. My grandfather looked at me deeply, turned off the tool he was holding, turned to me, and said in a firm yet calm tone, "My son, don't save money, invest it. Stagnant money is like standing water. It slowly rots, even if it is held in a golden vessel. Saving is fear, and investing is courage. The fearful never win, and the person who keeps their money under the mattress or in a bank with an interest rate eaten away by inflation is digging their money's grave with their own hands." Back then, I didn't truly grasp the meaning of his words. I thought it was just old-fashioned talk that went against the conventional logic we were raised on. But on that rainy night, as I watched my life savings evaporate before my eyes due to rising prices, my grandfather's phrase echoed loudly in my ears, as if he were saying it to me right then. I realized then that my grandfather was not urging me to be reckless, but rather teaching me an eternal law of life. Money is a tool of motion, not an end in itself. If you leave it still, it dies, and its value dies with you. Early in the morning, I made a strict decision to radically change the course of my life. I closed the savings account, gathered what was left of my money, and decided to step out into the real world to look for a genuine opportunity that would turn those paper notes into productive assets. It was by no means an easy journey. I faced immense internal fears and criticism from some around me who warned me against gambling and losing my money. But I remembered my grandfather's look and his confidence, and I pressed forward. I started with a small but calculated step. I invested a large portion of my money in starting a small, independent business, and another portion in purchasing tangible physical assets that retained their value amid market fluctuations. I no longer went to sleep feeling comforted by a static number that shrank day by day. Instead, I woke up every morning to see my business growing, my money moving and generating more money, and every obstacle I faced at first became a lesson, adding to my experience and knowledge. Years passed, and my life changed 180 degrees. That small business, born from a bold step and hidden fear, transformed, thanks to God and then that golden piece of advice, into a robust entity generating a continuous and growing income. More importantly, I developed the mindset of an investor who does not fear crises, but rather sees them as hidden opportunities. Now, looking back, I fully realize that my grandfather's sentence was not just an ordinary piece of advice, but a compass that saved me from drowning in a well of illusions and fake security. Life does not show mercy to the hesitant, and whoever refuses to take risks to move forward will find themselves forced to pay a heavy price for delay. Experience taught me that true wealth is not what you keep fearfully in your pocket, but what you plant wisely so that it bears fruit and builds a future that no storm can shake.